WOTWIP and Friday, it's Jane, and I am started working on grammar. Escapes me today. I started working on the hats, and this is the hat that I'm working on right now. Yes, he wants white with just a couple of lines of black in it, so that's what I'm doing. We'll see how that goes. But it's been an interesting day so far. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning, could not get back to sleep, laid in bed trying, and finally 5 o'clock I was like, no, time to get up. This is ridiculous. I'm just spinning wheels. There's no point in keeping on doing this. So got up, started doing a couple of things around the house I needed to do. Then I had to run to the store, had to get some bread, pick up some prescriptions, all the fun things in life. Of course, the only bad thing about going to pick up prescriptions is then while I'm in the store getting the bread as well, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Oh, yeah, I need trash bags too. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I also need some storage bags. Oh, what else do I need? You get the picture. One of those kind of trips where it seems like every time I turn around, I'm getting more stuff, But, yeah, that is kind of what I've been doing. And Kelly, I got your card today for the Happy Haunted Halloween. I hope your Halloween is a spectacular day and you're having a great day with it. And I have a question. Did you crochet all those items that are on it? Just curious. I think it's pretty cool. It's a very neat card. Do enjoy looking at those kind of things. And happy haunted Halloween to you and your family as well. I think I had told you about the whole thing about the craft fair, and I had a lady that wanted potato bags, so I offered to make her some potato bags, and out of that, I'd gone to my Bible study there, and she looked at me and she said, what kind of potato bags do you make? I said, well, the ones I've always made are just an open bag. You just slip your potato in it. If you want to fold it over, you fold it over. I do know right now the big thing is to have the fold over edge, but I think that gets in the way of getting the potatoes in and out of it. And she goes, I agree. So we determined the style of potato bag she wanted. And as I'm sitting there, we're talking about, I have a couple of other people like, you make potato bags? Yeah. Can you make me one? Yeah. Do you care what the outside is? No. So, I have a couple of potato bags to make. And I have never offered those in the shop, mainly because, sometimes I think Etsy is oversaturated with different things, even the tote bags and the bags that I make. So, I don't know. Of course, maybe it's the times, and I'll tell you why. I kind of wonder. Okay. Our local food bank, the gal that runs it, goes to my church, and she has put out there that she would like to have people donate frozen chicken so that everybody could at least have a frozen chicken to go with their pantry. visit so that they would have a chicken at least for Thanksgiving or whatever, right? So she kind of put that out there, and we were talking about that, and some of us had said, how come you can't go to like Giant, Wise, Wegmans, Walmart, Target, all these other places, and ask them if they could help donate some frozen chickens, whole chickens. And so we'd sent that message on to her, and she came back with, she has already approached all of these places, and they are telling her that they are having very tough times right now. Now, Target and Walmart, Giant in our area, I find that hard to believe. They are multi-billion-dollar industries. And they're having tough times financially right now. The smaller stores in my area, I can believe that, times are a little tough. People have cut back on buying a lot of food that they don't necessarily need, which does cut into their, bottom line, their profit. So I could see where some of your local smaller stores have that issue, but the big box chains that sell food, I don't know. And then my next thought is maybe you could approach them for a donation. For their charitable donations, it would be a write-off because she runs the local pantry. And she said she hadn't gone that route yet, but she was, thinking about it. But she is talking with a producer of chicken, in our area. She is talking with them about the possibility of receiving that amount. And maybe they'll come through, maybe they won't, who knows. But my first thought was that is a great idea for the families that will be using the food banks, especially, with the whole issue with the government and the nonsense that's going on there. And then so hopefully they'll step up. I mean, the only thing you can do is ask. The worst that they can do is say no. So in the meantime, she's asking some of these different places to consider doing that. And there's a group of people in my area. They just started these meetings. They're calling themselves Clinton County Community Action Group or something like that. Talking about taking up donations for those folks who are going to be hit hard with no food stamps when they rely on them. And while I think that's a noble cause, they did not advertise it very well. And it suspiciously looks like it's the Democratic Party that is behind the whole thing. Does that bother me? No. Would I like to be a part of it? Yeah. So I had made a comment about, there has been food insecurity all along for years and years. We've always had food insecurity in places. And just because now it's political, you're going to, jump on the bandwagon? Are you going to continue this long after? I mean, because one of those places that is involved in it is a local coffee shop. Now, they're their prices are kind of steep when you go in to get a cup of coffee or if you go in for breakfast or whatever. But, a lot of people frequent it, and that's perfectly fine. So, my question is, you cater to a lot of students who have food insecurity. That is one of the reasons that the Haven Cupboard was put in place, was because there were kids at the university that were going without meals. They could get certain meals at, the cafeteria if they had purchased the meal plan, but some of those that didn't purchase the meal plan were kind of left in limbo. So one of the students' mothers had realized that that was going on, so the university started a food pantry specifically for students on campus, which is a good thing. And I said, to the fellow that runs the coffee shop, I said, basically, you understand, this has been all along, from the day you opened up your doors, but you've ignored it until it's become political. And I have an issue with that. It's like grifters. You find certain things that happen. You know what I mean? It's kind of like those folks that, within a couple of hours of Charlie Kirk being assassinated, they already had freedom shirts, with his birth date and the date of his death to sell. To me, that's a grifter. Someone who's making money off of, that kind of thing. And I had said to him, is this going to be something ongoing? Because we do have a free pantry box downtown that anyone can access. And those that have more can take and put those in the blessing box for those who need. And he said, well, I didn't know about that. My first thing is, well, get out in the community and find out these things. So, and we talked a little bit about it. He said, I understand where you're coming from. I said, that's the only thing that bothers me. Is this going to end the minute that the government opens back up? Are you going to continue it? Because you could do a lot of good for a lot of food pantries around our community. Because, the Salvation Army has one. And, of course, they feed people every day at lunch. And then you have other churches that have pantries. And then you have, like, this pantry that my friend runs. So, there's a lot of ways that you guys can help. Year-round. All the time. I said, I would hate to see it just happen because it's a political issue right now, with the government being shut down. So, and we, like I said, we had a good discussion about it, and he realized there's a need, and I had made some suggestions, like maybe you could take 50 cents off your coffee for those people who bring in 2 or more cans of food, or 2 or more non-perishable items. So, I don't know. And I do think it's good that the community is stepping up. I'm seeing a lot of people who are advocating doing the Dollar Tree dinners. She has quite a list of what she calls ready packaged meals that you can set with directions, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Dollar Tree. It's just something that is low cost, and you're putting it together in a Ziploc bag so that that meal is ready to go to prepare. You have everything you need, mostly, to go in that. If you want to add butter and some of the other things, you have to add that yourself. But so I'm seeing that a lot more, and that is something good, and I would hope people, like I said, would continue it longer. Because the need is out there, and always has been. There are always those people who will not qualify for food stamps, but they need the food. So, there are a lot of people that fall into that crack. And I have to tell you, some of my favorite videos that I've been watching are around my Hispanic groups that showing you the different ways that they prepare beans and rice. And I got to tell you, when Jessica, like I said, when she had all of her heart issues before her surgeries and those kind of things as an infant, we ate a lot of beans. A lot of beans and potatoes with some tortillas. You know? Tortillas, cornbread, that kind of thing. What do you want, mister? Do you know? You just gonna stare at me? Go get your mouse. Go get the mouse. I can't throw the mouse if you don't have the mouse over here. He is sitting right at my feet staring at me, which means he wants to play or something. But he didn't have the mouse, didn't bring me my mouse. So I can't throw the mouse. In the meantime, he's going to rub up against the legs of the tripod. So if you guys move, I'm sorry. He'll go get his mouse in a minute when he realizes that I can't play if I have no mouse to throw. Let's see, have you guys been following on TikTok the Court TV? That is some pretty hard testimony that's going on with the school teacher that was shot by the 6-year-old. There was a lot of warning ahead of time, and a lot of people notified people what was going on and that this child had a gun. They did nothing, and so the teacher basically suing the administration for failure to protect her and, students in a sense. She did get shot. She did survive, luckily. But they've shown some of the videos from when EMS and police arrived to work on her, to custodians cleaning up blood and, taking care of all those kind of issues that they were seeing. And it's just horrifying to see the fact that a 6-year-old would bring a gun and shoot a teacher. So, and teachers deal with a lot. I mean, I think I told you about my friend who had the split personality, and her personality split while we were driving in Dallas, Texas traffic. And she was driving. Her personality split to a 2-year-old. We were talking about some of the things that were going on while she was in school, what she was facing. And she was a 4th grade teacher. And she was already having students threaten her life, bring knives to school, try to stab her. Several had brought guns to school. And she said it's just really stressful. She said, and then you have parents coming at you when you report these kids and they get detention or suspended for a couple of days, threatening just like the kids did. And we're seeing more and more of that in the school systems, which, quite frankly, I can understand why there are a lot of people that do not want to teach or quit teaching because of that. So, just scary, to think of it. Think that it's actually happening. Teachers put up with the kind of nonsense that they put up with. I can tell you, my niece is a teacher, and she says you're not allowed to touch the kids, basically. And she said, if you have a child that's having a meltdown, destroying the classroom, you're supposed to call up front, and they're supposed to call the counselor or school nurse or health people or whatever. Ronan, why must you? He's walking off with my yarn curled around his tail. So, and she said she has one little boy that has frequent meltdowns, and he will literally destroy the room. And you're supposed to remove the kids from the classroom and leave them shut up in the room by themselves. But you also have to maintain their safety while they're in the room destroying the room. Which, I'm sorry, that makes zero sense to me. But that's just my thoughts. If the family knows that the child has these issues, then they should also be aware of the fact that he may hurt or harm himself while they are having this meltdown of gargantuan proportions. And sometimes the schools do not have a counselor available, because sometimes they share that between 3 or 4 schools. So, I don't know, scary. But anyway, the court case, they're showing it live throughout the day, what's going on with the court case, and it's just fascinating. And I think the only other thing that I've seen lately is November the 5th is the 1-year anniversary of Trump winning the election, and apparently there is a Democratic faction of the Democratic Party that is planning these huge protests, but they are also planning basically an insurrection, sedition, that they hope will go on daily until they force the Trump administration and all of its cabinet to leave, to vacate their position in government. And they plan on using any means necessary. Now, this basic protest where they're going to be is D.C. So, I don't know. Just if you're in the D.C. area that week, watch yourself and be careful. There are some loons loose. Seriously. Can't make up some of this stuff. Then you have the whole thing with the EBT and SNAP. You've got people threatening to rob people as they come out of the grocery store because they don't have their EBT or their SNAP. Saw a video the other day of a black woman, doing that to a white woman. Stealing things out of her cart, putting them in her trunk, and the white woman had already called for help. But in the meantime, she's trying to make sure she's getting video of her license plate and her face you know, the whole 9 yards. But kind of seemed a little violent the way that it was happening. And at first I thought it was staged. But then I went and found that it did actually happen. And they have apprehended the woman, arrested her. So I would advise folks, don't do that. Don't be stupid. Don't add problems to your life already. There are way too many places that are trying to step up right now during this issue to help. So, yeah. But just be aware, you know, that it might be happening, and be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. And what I find interesting is I have seen not so much Instagram, because I think they are gatekeeping some of that. But of course TikTok, almost anything goes on TikTok. It's under the chair, Ronan. TikTok is basically allowing some of those things. And there's some of the influencers there that are actually encouraging people to walk out of the store with a buggy full of food, that kind of thing. And I think I told you one of the things I'd seen is Walmart's response in some of these areas, big city areas, is considering locking the door down so that you would have to shop online to purchase anything you wanted. The other was going to be limiting customers into the store. You know, kind of like what happened with COVID. So, who knows what will happen from some of those places, but I guess we'll be seeing it soon unless the Congress gets their heads out of their rear ends. I did see where President Trump has called for the nuclear option filibuster. The only problem with doing that is you're going to set a precedent that doesn't allow checks and balances. There's a part of me that wants it to happen because nobody needs to be going through this kind of stress, and people need to get paid. We always think of just people in the U.S. that are affected, but you have to remember that we have embassies around the world, and these embassies, they hire not only Americans, but they hire citizens in those areas to do certain jobs, to do certain things, and those people are not getting paid either. So this affects things worldwide. And I have heard that in, I think it's Germany, there are some people that are talking about walking off the job and just not delivering goods and, you know, the things that the people at the embassy need because they're not getting paid. So I don't know, it's kind of scary when you think about it. But with that nuclear option, what that takes off of it is normally you need those 60 votes. You could pass it by a simple majority with the filibuster. But then you set that precedent for it to happen all the time. So that there is no checks what we call checks and balances, where the dissenting party has the option to voice their concerns and their, no's about it, that kind of thing. So, I'm kind of torn between saying, yeah, do it, and then just pass whatever you need to get past these next 4 years. Be done with it. Quit worrying about it. Quit worrying about checks and balances. But then again, after that happens, you're going to find out you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be, let's say the next presidency is Democrats. They're going to do the same thing, and they just won't listen to the opposition, who may have some good valid points, and there will be no compromise whatsoever. And I'm sorry, I think that's important when you are dealing with things that affect not only our country, but other countries as well. So, that just, that kind of bothers me. The idea that if they do it, and of course I don't know if they've already done it or not, but I would hope not. That's my 2 cents on it. Because also after that, you're going to get, we may pass this, that the illegals can't have health care, and then Democrats get in, they're going to say, oh yeah, they can have health care. We're going to keep the borders wide open, those kind of things, just gets out of hand. So anyway, and I do know that, you keep hearing all this nonsense about that the House is on vacation. Well, yeah, but they also have people that are still there in their offices working. Some of them are at home in their states working to hear their people's thoughts and views. But they're still having pro forma meetings every couple of days. So, yeah. Just hope that it gets resolved soon and people stop acting like little children, because that's basically what it is. Acting like a child and stomping your feet and taking the ball and going. And I had heard there's scuttlebutt that after Tuesday's election, that the Democrats will vote yes. They'll have several of them vote yes, so that the government would be reopened. Maybe they're thinking that they'll win more Democratic seats across the nation for some of the local and state elections. I don't know. Maybe. Trying to decide where to add another stripe. Sorry. I think I'm going to do it right before I do the brim. So that's basically all that I've been seeing out there, and hopefully things will get sorted out quickly and we'll be done with all this nonsense and things can get back to normal, right? I would hope so. But what are you guys working on today? You looking forward to the weekend? I know I am. Even though we have time change coming up. Of course, that means another hour of sleep, so I'm always down for that. It's another thing I wish we'd stop doing. Kept hearing that they were going to, and of course they all lied to us, gaslighted us on that again. Because it's, you know, cats, cows, whatever, they still gotta be fed, still gotta be milked. They don't care if the time changes. They're like, nope, udders are full, milk me. So, yeah, I just think some of these things are nuts. We were talking this morning, I'd gone to prayer, but we were also talking this morning about how a lot of people don't share their prayer requests, prayer needs, and so you never know what kind of struggles they're going through and what help they need with. And I thought, isn't that true? Too many times people do not share their needs. And, you know, it kind of makes me wonder, is that our pride that gets in the way? That we want people to think everything is hunky-dory? You know, it's kind of like when this morning when we first got in, one of the gals asked me how I was doing. I said, yeah, I guess I'm doing okay. She goes, well, that doesn't sound very convincing. What's going on? And I said, well, you know, and I told her, basically it's I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, you know, couldn't get back to sleep, fought it, and I get tired of it. I get, you know, it gets disheartening feeling like you need to take a nap every day because you didn't get enough sleep the night before. So she goes, oh, okay, I understand now. You know, she was afraid it was something deeper. Because I don't mind telling my Christian sisters the things that I need and what's going on in my life. I know the first thing that's going to happen is they're not going to tell anybody that doesn't need to know. That's how much I trust them. So, yeah, just kind of crazy. And scary, you know, when you think about some of those things that people don't share when they're in need till the very last moment, you know. All right, I am going to let you guys go, and I will see you again tomorrow. Everybody, in the meantime, have a great, blessed day. And if you can, do something kind for somebody else. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.